Chosen one, stop. Do not scroll past this. I am not asking. I am acknowledging something you have never been given credit for. You executed the perfect exit, not by accident, not by luck, by divine strategy. The way you left that situation was not weakness. It was warfare mastery. The way you walked away was not giving up. It was graduating up. And the people who tried to destroy you are still spinning in confusion because they never saw it coming. At exactly 4:44 this morning, I was pulled into a vision that made me understand something I had never fully grasped before. I saw you. Not the version you showed to survive, not the mask you wore to keep the peace, not the performance you gave to avoid conflict. The real you, the strategist, the observer, the silent warrior, the one who was planning freedom while pretending to be captive. I watched a replay of your exit from heaven's perspective, and what I saw was not a person running away in fear. I saw a military operation so precise, so calculated, so divinely orchestrated that angels were taking notes. I saw supernatural strategy in human form. I saw warfare mastery disguised as weakness. God himself was standing beside me in that vision. He pointed at the screen showing your life and smiled. He said, "Watch this. Watch what my child did." They think it was luck. They think it was emotional breakdown. They think it was weakness finally cracking. But I was guiding every step. I was the one who told them when to stay silent. I was the one who showed them when to observe without reacting. I was the one who gave them patience when they wanted to explode. I was the one who whispered the perfect timing for their departure. This was not escape. This was divine extraction. This was holy warfare. This was supernatural strategy executed to perfection. That extraction was yours. Do not skip this message. Do not scroll away. If you leave before the seventh phase is revealed, you will miss the full understanding of what you accomplished. Stay with me until the end. Your exit deserves to be honored. Before we go deeper, I need you to do something. Type "My exit was divine strategy" in the comments below. This is not just typing. This is you acknowledging the truth. The angels are waiting to celebrate what you accomplished. Type it now and subscribe immediately. Turn on all notifications. What comes after this video will teach you how to walk in the freedom you secured. Subscribe now. You did not find this video by accident. You found it because heaven wanted you to finally understand what you did. I know what they said about you after you left. That you were cold, that you were heartless, that you abandoned them. They painted you as the villain because they could not accept that you outsmarted them. They rewrote the story because the truth was too humiliating to admit. But heaven recorded what really happened. And tonight, the real story is being told. Do not skip what comes next. The Spirit is about to reveal the 7 phases of your divine exit strategy. Phase 1, the silent observation. The first phase of your exit began long before anyone knew you were leaving. It began when you stopped reacting and started watching. God says, "I gave my child eyes to see what others could not see." While manipulation was happening, they were documenting every tactic. While lies were being told, they were collecting evidence in their memory. While masks were being worn, they were studying the patterns behind the performance. While charm was being deployed, they were watching where it failed. I turned their pain into perception. I transformed their suffering into supernatural discernment. I upgraded their spiritual vision until nothing could be hidden from them anymore. You saw everything. Every shift in energy when certain people entered the room. Every fake apology designed to reset the abuse cycle. every contradiction between public persona and private reality. Every time words said one thing and actions said another. Every manipulation disguised as concern. Every control disguised as care. Every criticism disguised as helpful advice. Every guilt trip disguised as love. You stopped confronting, you started observing. You realized that calling out lies only created more lies, so you let the dysfunction reveal itself while you watched in strategic silence. That silence was not weakness. That silence was warfare. Proverbs 17:28 activates over your discernment. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Your silence made them think you were foolish. Your silence made them believe they had won. Your silence made them careless, and their carelessness revealed everything you needed to know. Within those weeks and months of observation, you gathered intelligence that would later justify every decision you made. You were not being passive. You were being strategic. The silent observation phase is complete. You saw everything, and what you saw could never be unseen. Do not skip. The second phase is even more powerful. Phase 2, the emotional mastery. The second phase of your exit required something most people never develop. The ability to feel fully while thinking strategically. God says, "My child felt every betrayal, every lie cut deep into their soul. Every manipulation registered in their spirit like an alarm bell. Every broken promise wounded them. Every false accusation hurt them. But I gave them something rare and precious. The discipline to feel without reacting. The wisdom to hurt without exploding. The strength to process pain privately while performing strategy publicly. The maturity to separate what they felt from what they did. You were not numb. You were not detached. You were not cold, like they accused you of being. You felt everything. Every insult landed. Every betrayal stung. Every lie wounded. The nights you cried alone were not weakness. They were processing sessions. They were healing moments hidden from the enemy. You were metabolizing the pain, extracting the lessons, and fortifying your determination. You were grieving the illusion while preparing for freedom. But you never let your emotions dictate your moves. When hurtful things were said, you felt the impact, but you did not respond from that wounded place. You waited, you processed. You chose your response based on your long-term goal, not your immediate emotion. That is the difference between reacting and responding, and you became a master at responding. Jesus spoke over this phase. He said, "I gave them my peace in the midst of chaos." The same peace I had when I was silent before my accusers. I taught them that emotional control is not suppression, it is wisdom. They learned to separate feeling from action, and that separation was their salvation. James 1:19 activates over your emotional discipline. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Quick to listen. You heard everything they revealed. Slow to speak. You did not give them ammunition. Slow to anger. You did not let them provoke you into mistakes. Within 14 days of your exit, they expected you to spiral. They expected you to beg. Instead, you gave them nothing, and that nothing haunts them still. The emotional mastery phase is complete. You felt everything, but you controlled everything. Hold on. Do not leave. The third phase will validate what you knew in your spirit. Phase 3, the evidence collection. The third phase of your exit was building a case, not for court, for yourself. God says, "My child needed to be certain. I knew that after the exit, doubt would come knocking. Gaslighting would continue from a distance. Attempts would be made to rewrite history and make them question their decision. Flying monkeys would deliver messages designed to confuse, so I told them to document, to remember, to build a record that could not be disputed by anyone, including themselves. Every conversation became evidence. Every pattern became proof. Every contradiction became confirmation. Every manipulation became another line in the case file that would silence doubt forever. You were conducting research while they thought you were just having arguments. You were documenting attack patterns while they thought you were simply defending yourself. You were building your case while they thought you were falling apart. You were gathering intelligence while they thought you were confused. You were preparing your exit while they thought you were trapped. Every lie they told became a line in your mental file. Every manipulation attempt became a chapter in your internal record. Every mask slip became undeniable proof that leaving was the only option. You were not being paranoid, you were being prepared. Archangel Michael declared over this phase, I assigned angels to sharpen their memory, to help them recall details that would matter later. The enemy wanted them to forget, to minimize. But I ensured they remembered every wound, every word, every pattern, not for bitterness. For clarity, the evidence they collected became the foundation of their certainty. Luke 12:2 activates over the truth you documented. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. Everything you documented will eventually be confirmed. The patterns you observed will repeat publicly. You will be vindicated not by your words, but by their continued actions. Within 21 days of your exit, people started asking questions. Not because you said anything, because what you saw began revealing itself to others. The evidence collection phase is complete. You have the receipts, and you will never need to prove anything to anyone. Do not skip. The fourth phase is what they never expected. Phase 4, the strategic patience. The fourth phase of your exit required something that most people in pain cannot sustain: patience. God says, I told my child to wait, not because I wanted them to suffer longer, not because I enjoyed watching their pain, but because I was aligning circumstances for their perfect departure. The timing had to be precise, too early, and they would have been pulled back in with manipulation and guilt too late. And they would have been too damaged to recover quickly. I was arranging resources in secret. I was positioning support systems. I was opening doors they could not yet see. I was rebuilding their confidence. I was preparing their landing place while they waited in faith. You did not leave in the heat of an argument when emotions were high. You did not storm out an emotional explosion that could be used against you. You did not make a dramatic exit that would give them ammunition. You waited for the moment when you had maximum clarity and minimum dependency. You waited until you were ready to never look back. That timing was not random. That timing was not luck. That timing was divine calculation. While you waited, you were preparing. Financial independence was being secured. Emotional support systems were being rebuilt. Mental clarity was being achieved. Physical exit routes were being arranged. They thought you were stuck. They thought you would never leave because you had nowhere to go. They did not know that every day you stayed was another day you were building your foundation for freedom. Jesus spoke over this waiting season. He said, I spent 30 years in obscurity before 3 years of ministry. I understand the power of strategic waiting. I taught my child that patience is not passive. It is preparation in disguise. Every day they waited was a day they grew stronger. Ecclesiastes 3:1 activates over your timing. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. There was a time to endure. You endured. There was a time to observe. You observed. There was a time to prepare. You prepared, and there was a time to leave, you left. You discerned every season perfectly. The strategic patience phase is complete. Your waiting was not wasted. Your timing was flawless. Stay until the end. The fifth phase is when everything changed. Phase 5, the perfect execution. The fifth phase of your exit was the moment of departure, and it was executed with surgical precision. God says, I gave my child the exact moment to move. When the door opened, they walked through without hesitation and without looking back. There was no drama that could be used against them, no final speech that could be twisted, no emotional explosion that could be labeled as crazy, just a clean, absolute final departure that left no room for negotiation or manipulation. They had already done all the negotiating internally over months of preparation. When they moved externally, they moved with finality that shocked everyone who was watching. The exit was so clean that it took time for anyone to realize you were actually gone. You did not announce your evolution on social media. You did not explain yourself to people who would not understand. You just walked into your freedom while they were distracted by their own self-importance. You vanished while they were looking in the mirror, admiring themselves. There was no scorched earth, no burning bridges, no dramatic confrontation, just silence. And that silence spoke louder than any words ever could. By the time they noticed, you were out of reach, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. They tried to re-engage. They tried to provoke. They tried to bait you back into old cycles, but you were already beyond the point of return. You had healed past their access points. Archangel Michael declared over your departure, I guarded every step of their exit. I confused the enemy about their movements. I blinded the eyes that were trying to watch them. When they walked out, they walked under supernatural cover. The enemy did not see them coming because I made them invisible until they were safely beyond reach. Exodus 14:14 activates over your exit. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. You were still. And God fought. He fought by giving you supernatural composure. He fought by hiding your plans in plain sight. He fought by making your exit look accidental when it was anything but. Within 72 hours of your departure, they were still trying to figure out what happened, and by then you were already building your new life. The perfect execution phase is complete. You walked out flawlessly, and they are still trying to understand how. Do not skip the sixth phase is what happened after you left. Phase 6, the supernatural exposure. The sixth phase of your exit was not something you did. It was something God did after you were gone. God says, when my child left, they took their integrity with them, and that integrity had been the only thing holding the illusion together. Without their presence to soften the lies, truth started leaking through cracks. Without their energy managing the chaos, dysfunction became visible to everyone watching. Without their covering, nakedness was exposed. I did not need my child to expose anything or say a single word. I just needed them to leave. The exposure happened automatically because truth cannot stay hidden forever. You did not need to tell anyone what happened. You did not need to defend yourself on social media. You did not need to campaign for your reputation. You did not need to explain your side of the story to people who were not there. You simply left, and in your absence, the truth emerged without your effort. Masks began slipping without you holding them up. The masks that were worn so carefully began to slip in public. The narratives that were painted so convincingly began to unravel. The behavior that was hidden so skillfully began to surface for all to see. The charm that fooled everyone began to fail. The dysfunction that you absorbed began spilling onto others. People who once doubted your version started seeing what you saw. People who were fooled by charm started asking questions. People who believed the lies started witnessing the patterns. And you did not have to say a single word. Jesus spoke over this vindication. He said, "I am the truth, and truth does not need defenders. It only needs time. What was done in darkness is being brought to light. My child does not need to fight for their reputation. I am fighting for them, and I never lose." Luke 8:17 activates over your vindication. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Nothing hidden. Nothing concealed. Everything is coming to light. And you did not have to expose anyone. Self-exposure happened naturally. Within 21 days of your departure, the people who once believed the lies started doubting them. Not because you said anything, because the behavior continued, because the patterns repeated, because truth is relentless. The supernatural exposure phase is in progress. You will be vindicated without lifting a finger. Stay until the very end. The seventh phase is where you are now. Phase 7. The glorious transformation. This is the final phase of your divine exit strategy. This is who you have become. God says, "Look at my child now. Look at what they survived. Look at what they overcame. Look at what they outlasted. Look at who they have become." The person who entered that situation is not the person who left. They were refined by fire that should have destroyed them. They were strengthened by suffering that should have broken them. They were transformed by trial that should have defeated them. And now they walk in power that the enemy never wanted them to discover. Power that was hidden under layers of manipulation. Power that is now fully unleashed and unstoppable. You are not who you were when it all started. And thank God for that, because who you are now is unshakable. Who you are now is undeniable. Who you are now is completely unavailable to dysfunction. Who you are now cannot be manipulated by the same tactics. Who you are now cannot be controlled by guilt or shame. Who you are now sees red flags that you once ignored. You made pain your professor. You made chaos your compass. You made betrayal your breakthrough. You transformed every weapon formed against you into a tool for your elevation. The glow you carry now is not just peace. It is proof. Proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. Proof that you escaped what was meant to trap you forever. Proof that you became who the enemy never wanted you to become. Jesus spoke the final blessing over your transformation. He said, "I was wounded, but I rose. I was betrayed, but I overcame. I was rejected, but I became the cornerstone." My child followed the same pattern. What was meant to end them became the beginning of their greatest chapter. They are now living proof that no weapon formed against them can prosper. Romans 8:28 activates over your entire journey. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. All things, including the betrayal, including the manipulation, including the lies, all of it worked for your good. All of it produced who you are today. The 7 phases have been revealed, silent observation completed, emotional mastery achieved, evidence collected, strategic patience honored, perfect execution accomplished, supernatural exposure ongoing, glorious transformation manifesting. Your exit was not just a choice. It was evolution in motion. It was divine strategy executed flawlessly. But I must give you a warning. The enemy knows you escaped. He knows he lost. And he will try to convince you that you should not have left. In the next 72 hours, he will send regret. He will send doubt about your decision. He will send memories of good times designed to make you forget the bad. He will whisper that maybe you were wrong. Do not fall for it. You were not wrong. You were guided. Every step was ordered by God. Every phase was orchestrated by heaven. Your exit was divine. Now seal this acknowledgement over your life. Say this out loud. Your voice confirms the truth of what you accomplished. Almighty Father, the God who orchestrates divine exits, I acknowledge the 7 phases of my departure. I completed the silent observation. I saw everything I needed to see. I achieved emotional mastery. I felt without reacting. I hurt without exploding. I collected the evidence. I have the receipts. I have the certainty. I honored strategic patience. My waiting was preparation. My timing was perfect. I executed the perfect exit. Clean, absolute. Final supernatural exposure is happening. Truth is revealing itself without my effort. I am walking in glorious transformation. I am not who I was. I am who I was meant to become. I declare that my exit was not escape. It was divine strategy. It was spiritual warfare. It was supernatural precision. I declare that I will not return to what I outgrew. I declare that the door is closed forever. I declare that I am walking forward into everything God has prepared. Thank you, Father, for guiding my exit. Thank you for the discernment to see. Thank you for the discipline to wait. Thank you for the courage to leave. Thank you for the vindication that is coming. I am free. I am whole. I am transformed. In Jesus' name, Amen. Heaven recorded that declaration. Your exit is honored. Your strategy is validated, and your freedom is permanent. Now complete the acknowledgement process. First, like this video. This is not about numbers. This is about recognition. When you press that button, you are acknowledging your own victory. Do it now. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications. More strategies are coming. Wisdom for your new season. If you are not subscribed, you will miss what comes after the exit. Subscribe now. Third, share this video with someone who executed their own divine exit. There is someone in your life who left a toxic situation and has never been validated for it. They need to know their exit was not abandonment. It was divine strategy. Send this to them. Fourth, type "My exit was masterful" in the comments. Let other chosen ones see the declaration. Let the enemy see that you know what you did. Let heaven record your acknowledgement of divine guidance. Type it now, chosen one. You came to this video carrying guilt about leaving. You are leaving knowing you were divinely guided. Your exit was not cold. It was calculated with divine precision. Your departure was not heartless. It was strategic beyond human understanding. Your silence was not weakness. It was warfare that the enemy never saw coming. Your leaving was not abandonment. It was advancement into your true destiny. Go in your freedom. Go in your transformation. Go in your power. Go knowing that you outsmarted what tried to destroy you. Go knowing that heaven is proud of how you left. Go knowing that your exit was worthy of eternal recognition. You did not just survive. You transcended. You did not just escape. You evolved. You did not just leave. You left a legacy of power in your silence. The door is closed. The chapter is finished. And the best part of your story is just beginning. Walk in your victory. Live in your freedom. Never apologize for executing your divine exit. Your exit was not just brave. It was brilliant. It was not just smart. It was masterful, and it will echo through eternity as proof that you cannot be broken. The divine exit strategy is complete, and you are the one who executed it perfectly. Amen.